Welcome to this webinar, hosted by SA United Employers. Additional information with regards to the various topics will be posted in the chat box to the right of the video and presentation. You may also ask questions by making use of the same chat box. Your questions, however, will not appear in the chat. They will be recorded, collated, and answered in due course. You will receive an email with the answers to the question not answered in the presentation. The webinar recording and presentation will be available at the end of the webinar.
Good day, members, colleagues and visitors. Welcome to this webinar on how to stay afloat during the lockdown period, especially for businesses. The webinar overview, we will deal with an overall summary of financial relief schemes available to businesses. We'll look at specifically at three categories: labor-related schemes, tax incentive schemes, and other aid schemes. We will deal with each one of those categories separately. Purpose of this webinar is to determine if your company qualifies for financial aid schemes, and then look at the guidelines on the applications and requirements of those schemes. The financial relief is as a result of the national disaster and the subsequent lockdown as declared by the state president. As a result of this lockdown, there were regulations issued by the ministers within their specific mandates. This included some relief schemes, and those are the relief schemes we will look at today. You were issued with a financial relief summary, a COVID-19 financial relief summary document, which contains all 9 schemes that we're going to deal with today. This document and the other documents are for informative purposes only, and it is not deemed to be advice. It deals with various categories of relief schemes: the labor, which means labor-related, such as TERS, UIF, WCA, the tax schemes, Payasyouearn, ETI, Provisional Tax, and other schemes. And in the other schemes also, we've got information on a private fund. Please be advised that this is information gathering, and whatever information you receive, rely on published information from reliable sources only. So we want to advise you, when you get a document, make sure that it's an authentic document. You can search also for other webinars such as SAAA, which is the South African Accountant Academy, and Acts Online, or you may even consult with your accountant, your financial advisor, or even your organizer from SA United Employers Organization. First category that we are going to look at would be the labor-related schemes. So these are schemes coming from the labor relations portion. So the first one that we're going to deal with, we already did a full webinar on this application. It's the TERS application. If you have missed that, you're welcome to check our YouTube channel, which will be available, the details available at the end of this presentation. So the TERS stands for the Temporary Employer-Employee Relief Scheme, which was put in place specifically for COVID-19, the lockdown period. And this is for employers that have to enforce lockdown, but they require financial assistance. They simply can't continue paying employees during this time. So the payment through this scheme is for employees through the employers, which means the money will be paid to the companies and the companies will pay the employees for the loss of income during this period of lockdown. The second category is your UIF category. Now, normal benefits will apply for illness, reduced working time, and death during or as a result of COVID-19. It has to be as a direct result of COVID-19. It's payable to all employees who qualify for this, and it's a normal UIF application, and the procedure will apply. You will recall that on the UI 19 declaration at the bottom, we have codes, reason codes, and you need to complete your document with a relevant code. For instance, in the case of illness, it will be a code 10, and in the case of reduced work time, it will be a code 17. Remember, illness in this case also covers self-quarantine. So once again, please refer to the previous webinar relating to TERS UIF benefits. Another category where there will also be a webinar available would be the claims through the compensation fund. Its special dispensation was proclaimed for COVID-19 cases arising out of and in the course of employment. This claim process is dealt with in detail in the webinar, and which is also available on the YouTube channel. There are also various tax incentive schemes. First one we're going to look at is the Pay-as-you-earn tax relief, which is designed for companies with a turnover less than 50 million rand per annum. Now remember, SMMEs are also classified in terms of the threshold amounts as published by the Department of Small Business Development. But in this case, the qualification cap is 50 million. Turnover has to be less than 50 million. So it makes provision for delayed payments. So you may retain 20% of your pay as you earn, and then there are delayed payments declared. Also, it's without penalties and interest, but it's only for tax compliant businesses. Viewers, we did provide you also with a flow chart on how to qualify for this and the benefits and the documents required. Please refer to the flow chart that we have provided. Similarly, so for the provisional tax measures, once again, there is a flow chart that we've provided you with. You may check that flow chart, go through that, and check whether you qualify or not. Once again, for turnover less than 50 million, only companies for turnover less than 50 million. Once again, delayed payments stretching over a year, without penalties and interest, but again, only for tax compliant businesses. We also want to advise you that the regulations for private individuals who pays provisional tax has not been published yet. So please keep an eye out for that in the media when that is published. The next one is the ETI tax measure. So we also refer to this as the youth scheme. Now this dates back to 2014, and it's only for companies who is an existing ETI scheme participant, which means you can't join now. ETI stands for the Employment Tax Incentives of 2014, and you will qualify for payment of additional amounts for the next 4 months. So the employees will receive additional amounts. One of those categories would be an extra 500 Rand per month, but please also check the flow chart handout for further information. There are also various other aid schemes that has been provided by various other instances. And in this case, the first one is the SME Debt Relief Fund. This is only for SMMEs. Here, you will work according to the threshold as per the Department of Small Business Development, where they declare and regulate the various income thresholds. It's also interesting to note that preference will be given to women, to youth, and people with disabilities. There are also further specific qualification requirements. Once again, it's all dealt with in the flowchart handout, which you have received previously. The next one is an interesting one, and this is the first one of the private funds. This one is called the SAFT Fund, which is the SA Future Trust Fund. This was the money donated by Nikki and Jonathan Oppenheimer, the 1 million Rand. Important to note here, very interesting, this is the first type of scheme that caters for sole proprietors, which means your company doesn't have to be registered. In all the other categories, it has to be a registered company, registered with CIPC. This is a private fund administered by Nedbank, Absa, Standard Bank, and FNB. So only the 4 big banks. And you have to be a client of that bank. It's in the form of an interest-free loan for 5 years. And it's only for companies with a turnover less than 25 million. So remember, the previous requirements of 50 million or even the threshold of the Department of Small Business Development is not applicable here. This is for companies with a turnover less than 25 million rand. There are other qualification and supporting document requirements. It is available on the flowchart on the handout, and you may use that as a checklist to see whether you qualify or not. Then we have the bank-specific relief. The Department of Trade and Industry passed new regulations for the banking industry, which includes that the banks may offer payment holidays, which gives you a breather for a month or 2, 3 not to pay your debt. So this is bank specific, so you may contact your bank for further information on this. And I would also just like to remind you that, remember, you might have credit insurance for specific cases like the lockdown where you cannot trade. Contact your bank for information. In conclusion, I'd like to remind you that you have to consider all relief schemes and see where you fit in. And maybe there's more one scheme applicable to you, whether it's the labor-related schemes, with the UIF, your TERS, and your compensation fund, whether it's your tax incentive schemes, with the ETI, the provisional tax, and the Payasyouearn, or the other schemes. Might be the private scheme, the SAFT scheme. But please go and check and use the flow charts and the checklist to see whether you qualify for that or not. I want to thank you for watching this, and also a word of thanks to all my colleagues out there who has provided me with all the information, support, and to my office during this time.
If you have any other questions, please feel free to ask them now. Your questions will, however, not appear in the chat. They will be recorded, collated, and answered in due course. You will receive an email with answers to the questions not answered in the presentation.
Good morning all. I've taken control of this webinar in line with the agreement with SA United Employers Organization. So you may post your questions now in the chat box. The question regarding the UIF registration, and there's been no UIF number. Unfortunately, that would be one of the requirements, that you are registered with UIF. The next question regarding, let me just scroll back to that. Regarding you have had to be subscribed to the ETI as before. This was information that we received on the small business development page, and of course we can just verify that for you. the TERS application, please go and check the webinar on TERS applications. It is available on the landing pages and also on the YouTube channel. Yes, you can apply for a couple of employees only. The SME Debt Relief Fund is also in the form of a loan, and I will recommend that you go and check on the relevant web page to go and check what are the terms and conditions. The website is www.smemesa.co.za. Kay Dowling, your question regarding the exact forms. Once again, we've had a full webinar on the forms required. Please go to the YouTube channel, or you can also go to the Business Good Facebook page where the relevant information is available. Graham Finley, your question regarding UIF application. When should we expect the reply? Unfortunately, there's nothing available except the 30-day period that we've received to say it will be processed within 30 days. Yes, there is a tourism relief scheme. One of the questions also that I've seen, a tourism relief scheme. It is available. Unfortunately, we do not have any information of that at the moment, but we will investigate that. The question regarding the SMMEs, yes, it's not for sole proprietors, only for registered companies. I will advise you to look at the Rupert's and the Oppenheimer schemes, who makes provision for sole proprietors. Sure, guys, these questions are coming through hard and fast. I will recommend that you also send an email to info@saao.co.za. Who, if your question has not been answered here, please try to send the question through there if it's not been answered. It's coming through quickly. Helga de Priya, your question regarding the database. We've also had some problems in registering claims there. So all I can say is keep on trying, and if you have a problem, maybe send an email to them. I've seen on the webpage that there are email addresses available. Wendy D'Souza, this question regarding the memorandum of agreement has been asked by about 150 different viewers. So thank you for asking it again. I'd just like to confirm that the MOA, the draft MOA that has been supplied, will change. So when you lodge your application for TERS, you do that without the MOA. Once they've processed your claim, they will then send you further the MOA to be signed before payment is made. The NEDLAC also is currently sitting and discussing the terms on the memorandum of agreement. Joanna Campbell, where do I get the TERS application? It is on the landing page of SA United Employers Organization. You can also send an email to covid19ters@labour.gov.za and you will get an automated reply with information. You can also download the TERS Easy Aid Guide for employers. Andrew Atwood, yes, definitely. Your lodge is now temporarily closed
in the webinar
and will be so for a minimum of 3 months. All employees laid off. Does TERS apply? Yes, it will apply, and you may apply for TERS in this situation. Erna de Lange, the school governing bodies are considered to be employers, and therefore, if those employees have been registered for TERS, yes, they will apply. The other funds, I'm not sure. However, I'm sure on the SAFTA fund, the Oppenheimer fund, and the SAAA fund, the Rupert fund, you may be able to qualify, or you will probably be able to qualify. My recommendation is apply where you can and see what funds become available, and so on. I do apologize for the dark image on your screen from my camera. Unfortunately, the lighting is not too good here, but maybe it's a good thing not being able to see me properly. Anna-Marie James, you have asked a question regarding the dates of the returns, and says the next date is the submission date is the 7th of April. So as far as I understand, this application for the Pay-As-You-Earn will only come into effect as of the 1st of April. So then it would only be effective with your next submission at the end of April, which means by the 7th of May. There's been a request for the email address to send queries to, and I will type that in the message box, in the chat box. So please just use this address and they will forward all emails to me. There it goes. It's on the screen now. info@saueo.co.za. Nikki van Wyk, your question on the management accounts. Is it okay to send trial balance? I cannot say. The requirement is the requirement, and if it says management accounts, it's better to do that rather than send the trial balance. If it's not available, I will recommend that you send the trial balance in the meanwhile until you can get to management accounts. Susan Harding, if I have more than 10 employees, do I need to open a separate bank account, or can employees get paid directly? Let me just deal with a separate bank account. It's no longer a requirement. You can use any of your bank accounts to do that. And then if it's 10 employees or less, that it will be paid directly into the employees' accounts. So on your spreadsheet, we have asked for a banking account details. You will put the employees' details, banking details, not the company. If you are applying for 11 employees and up, then use your spreadsheet, and in that column, you will put the company's banking details. Helga, I'm not very sure about the sports clubs as an NPO. I've not seen any specific regulations for NPOs or that. So I will recommend that you apply, that you make use of the PAYE and or provisional tax if your sport club is paying that. Otherwise, try the two private funds, the SAAA fund and the Oppenheimer fund, the SAFT fund. Letitia Jacobs, if your company is paying cash to the employees, you cannot submit a claim for TERS. You must have a trail to show that it was paid into their accounts. Those are one of the requirements. I recommend that you apply and then open banking accounts for the employees so that once you've received it, you can pay it into their accounts. I just want to remind you, if you have done that, but the employees can't get a banking account, then you will have to repay that money to UIF. Frederik Nel, hoe kan ek as accountant bewys ek het geld verloor, want ek gaan dit weer opmaak? Yes, for some of these applications, you have to prove that there was a loss. But in this case, your bank statements might be sufficient to show that compared to the month of January or February, you have not received the same amount of income. And therefore, you may apply for this. Remember, this is in the form of loans or delayed payments.
So most of it must be repaid. So there won't be a problem once you've made it up to repay it in any case, Frederick. Denise Bentley, how many months of management accounts are required? It depends for which scheme, but it seems that most of them are your 3 months management accounts. Seems like there's a bit of a quiet period now. Yes, a very good question, Stephanie Alberts. Can you claim UIF benefits and SAFT? Of course, absolutely. The applications are not restricted to one type of application only. And in fact, your UIF benefits would be for loss of salaries, where the SAFT also for loss of salaries, where you can't pay salary, but it will also assist you in other areas. Remember, the SAFT will also cover the difference between your UIF payment and your actual payment. So that difference, that top-up difference, will also apply. Barbara Pina, the NPO companies, do they fall into SMME? I can't say. I'm really not sure. What I recommend, I have answered this before, please send an email to all of these funds and see if you will qualify. If we have more than 10 employees, do we only use the company's telephone number? Ilani Beckley, use the company's contact details in any case. Frederick Nell, I have just answered your question. Maybe it was because it was in English, but I did answer that. Let me just go back to your question, and for your sake, I will answer it in Afrikaans. I'm just trying to find it again. It's a bit difficult being live, guys. Please bear with me. Hoe kan ek as accountant bewys ek het geld verloor want ek gaan dit weer opmaak? Ek het gesê jy kan dit nou doen deur jou bankbesonderhede, jou bank state aan te heg aan jou aansoek om te wys. Deur hierdie stadium het jy hulp nodig gehad omdat jy nie jou volle inkomste nou kon verkry nie. Meeste van hierdie aansoeke is as gevolg van huidige finansiële probleme en dan gaan jy dit moet terugbetaal. So indien jy nou aansoek doen en jy gaan later aan jou inkomste opmaak, dan kan jy dan mos bekostig om dit terug te betaal. So ek hoop dit antwoord jou vraag nou. Dit is soos ek dit voorheen verduidelik het. As jy verdere vrae het, asseblief Frederik, stuur hom dan maar net vir ons die e-pos wat ons kan dan kan ek dit veel meer duidelik antwoord of met jou gesels daaroor. Denise Bentley, is there a fund through Workmans Compensation? Yes, there is, but it's only where the claim is as a result of in or during the course of your duties, if you contradicted the virus, if you got the virus through that time. So yes, there is a fund, but it's only for that portion of the claim. Please also see that there was a webinar on this specifically, and it is available on the YouTube channel as well. Graham Finley, the relief options for companies with partial lockdown. You would then do two types of claims. You would do the first claim would be for the staff not working at all. That would be a TERS application. The staff who are working but may be working reduced working time, you will then claim a UIF, reduced working time, code 17 through UIF. Please check the landing page as it was posted before, the landing page of SA United with the documents, but you can also just go to the webinar again where it is explained. Yeah, thank you, Yaku. There's the landing page being posted there by Yaku, the businessunitecarter.com /page/keeping your business afloat. Debbie Hubert, if you are paying your staff 60% of their salary only, can I then claim from the SAFT fund? Remember, the SAFT fund is a loan, so you will have to repay that. So also is the SAAA fund, which is also a loan. So what I recommend is the top up of the 40%. You will claim that through the TERS application. The spreadsheet makes provision for how much you've actually paid your staff and how you can claim that. So the make a percentage and then pay the difference with, yes, so you can pay the difference when you receive that. The 60% that you've claimed, this you may claim or ask for assistance from one of the other funds to finance that. Yeah, the difficult question here is for we will only know how much our clients will pay maybe towards the end of April and May and June. That is true. But if you do projections to say that you might only be paid 40 or 50%, claim that in the meanwhile, or otherwise put in a full claim, and then you can always substantiate that at a later stage. I would just like to advise you all as well, you know, this is not a science. This is the first time ever that we're experiencing something like this. So it is difficult to give advice, and we can only give in terms of the information we've received. So when I'm giving advice like that, it's not from any of the documents that we've got. So it's not verified information. But I also would just like to put you on the right track and maybe assist with that and tell you what we've done in our business. Wendy D'Souza, the Tourism Relief Fund has been asked before, and I have answered that there's no news on that yet that we could lay our hands on. I would just like to maybe advise you to keep on checking the media and see when it is available. I will, however, investigate this further, the Tourism Relief Fund, and if there is anything available, I will also post the flow chart on our landing page at saunited.co.za. Jasper, if you go back 2 questions prior to your question, you will find the YouTube channel link there, and it is available on the YouTube channel. The next question, I think, is regarding dates again. Sally Kutzer, if our clients paid their staff for March but want to claim TERS for April, would the date be from the 1st of April to date lockdown is scheduled? Yes, only until the 16th of April now at the moment. However, if it is extended, you may then file a second application for the next period. I know there are companies who's doing it for the whole of April at the moment, but I will recommend that you only go until the 16th of April at the moment and then follow up with a second application. Andrew Besaid note, TERS pays a limit of 3,500. Can an employee use one of the other funds to pay the difference that they should have received? Andrew, it's not true that they only pay a limit of 3,500. Don't get confused with the initial 3,500 during the first week of isolation, where they declared that they will pay 3,500 under the Disaster Benefit Fund. The TERS Fund was then created, and it deals with applications of up to 17,700 Rand. But in essence, your question is still the same. What happens, sorry, let me just get to it again. It's off the screen. But the difference, you can pay as a top-up or claim the difference as a top-up from the TERS. So on your spreadsheet, declare what you have paid. Lizelle, can you keep this recording? Absolutely, Lizelle. This recording will definitely also be on the YouTube channel. All of them are posted there. Bobby Rasul. The question is the same as I've been asked before about the SAFT for a top-up. I just want to confirm that your UIF claim pays so much. Can you apply for a top-up? I'd just like to confirm, guys, that the SAFT is a loan. So if you, yes, you may apply for that, but you will have to repay it. It's an interest-free loan for a period. Thank you, Denise Bentley, for the kind words there. Yeah, Eric, I think we mentioned this in the applications that you have to be UIF compliant, but they've not paid the UIF. And if they catch up now, do you think they will qualify? The moment you've paid, my opinion is you are then compliant. So yes, I think you will then be able to qualify for that. Lauren Fremantle, one of my members. Thank you for the hi, Lauren. Hi, back at you all. Lizanne Berger, is there a fund that can help you to claim for your senior management salaries that fall above the 17K threshold? Remember, your senior managers, you can claim up to 17,000 Rand, 17,700, Lizanne. So it doesn't mean that you can't claim for them at all. So the threshold of 17,000 will apply, and they will then get the percentage based on that. So it's not to say that they are disqualified at all. However, if you then need to go to further funds, go and look at the further schemes available, go and look at, once again, the two private funds, the SAAA and the SAFT fund. Thanks, Lizelle. Gearing, is it Gearing, for your comments? Thank you. Denise, will the member of a company be paid out through TERS? Sorry, I don't understand that. Member as in a CC member, or what type of member? But yes, if the member or the owner is getting a salary and is claiming or is paying his UIF, registered with UIF, yes, he will apply through TERS as well, based on the 17,700 threshold. And thanks, Denise. Yes. So if they are registered with the CC, with the UIF as a member of the CC, yes, they will qualify, but capped at the 17,000 threshold, and then a percentage of that, which will be the lower percentage, presumably, so they will qualify for about 38% of the 17,700, which we calculated before is about 6,700. Please go and check the landing page, because we did give an example there of the calculation. And when I say the landing page here, it is not the keeping your business afloat one, it's the previous one. And maybe Jaco can just post that at one for us as well, is the UIF versus TERS benefit. And on that landing page, we've also got a document emanating from all the questions that we received, some 200 questions that I had to answer via email, that we've posted there for you as well. So I made a summary of that, and it is on the landing page. The webinar can also be found. There is the address for the webinar. Whoever asked that it must be posted again. All these questions have been asked publicly, and I try to keep up with them as best as I can, especially in the sprint phase of the questions when we were running through them like crazy. However, I do see that we have some 76 moderated questions that I will once again produce a document summarizing all of these questions, and it will be uploaded to the landing page at a later stage. Thank you for watching the webinar with us today. I trust and pray that your business will stay afloat during this time Thank you very much.